lovelies, this is Alexandra Monet and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to get knotless braids. Okay, this is completely beginner friendly because I have spent probably like 2 years learning this new method that I have come up with. If you have a little trouble braiding, I highly suggest that you will watch this video in its entirety because I'm getting ready to break this down. And when I say break this down, I mean zoom in and really get into it. So when you finish this video, you will know how to do knotless braids. So let's get into it. So the hair I'm using is the Ultra braiding hair. I'll put a link in the description, but this is what I got. My color is the color 4 and the color 27, which gives me this beautiful sandy brown blonde kind of color. But I'm showing you here the amount of hair that I'm using to actually feed into each knotless braid. So this is about the size, and I really wanted to emphasize this because you don't want your braids to be coming off way too bulky at the top. You want them to start small when you braid your hair down a couple notches and then gradually get to the desired size. So for me, I use that small size that I had just shown you, and I do about 5. So that was me counting out 5. So these are the braids that I have put in thus far. I'm just loving it. So when I got to this point, I was like, okay, let me start recording. So I want to show you how I prepped my hair first. I think this is a very critical point. Overnight, I went ahead and I combed out my hair. I was probably coming off of like a twist out. So I combed out my hair as best as I could, and then I kind of bantu knotted it up just to stretch it out. So as you can see, I have stretched out my whole entire head very nicely, so I did not have to blow dry my hair out. I didn't want to use heat on my hair because of course I'm doing a protective style, so to me it just kind of defeated the purpose, and I believe that I could achieve the desired results without putting any heat on my hair. Additionally, this also allowed me to moisturize my hair overnight. That way it's as healthy and as shiny and as strengthened as possible before it goes into these braids for the next couple of weeks. So now that we have our hair combed out and prepped, which is a very important step, we are going to start the top half. So as you can see, and it is all combed out and is ready for parting. So I went ahead and I sectioned my hair off into the larger sections, and we're just going to go ahead and do one at a time. So I'm over here on this side of my head, and I made a smaller section for one knotless braid. Now, as you can see, a very important thing to have are some clips. Normally these clips are used for locks. That's what I use them for when tightening locks, but this is me using them to keep all excess hair out of the way of my knotless braid. Very, very important step. So make sure that if you are a beginner, grab some clips. So this is the product that I'm using to lay down these edges and give a very flat look for my knotless braids. It is the Edge Boost, has a very strong hold up to 10. All right, the knotless braid method. So of course you're going to take that knotless braid section and get it into 3 parts, right? Easy enough. Then the next step is going to be to add your product down. So that's my Edge Boost and whatever product you're using. And then you're going to make sure that that Edge Boost or whatever product is around each section. So make sure you saturate it around each section. Now let's begin to braid. This is our 3rd step. So however you braid, I actually braid underhand, which is very different from what a lot of people do when they do knotless braids. So that's why this technique was very specialized for me. And once you braid down 3, you're going to see that you have strands of hair in between your thumb and your pointer finger, and then in between your pointer finger and your middle finger, and between your middle finger and your ring finger. So notice where the hair is. Now this is going to be the critical step where you grab that fake hair and you're literally going to wrap it around your middle finger. That's where the hair goes. I always had trouble with finding where the hair gets added in so it looks seamless and effortless and you can't tell that I added in hair. It's around your middle finger. Once you do that, you can continue to braid down. So I braided down 1, 2, 3, boom, here I am again. And the hair, the first section of hair is in there nice and tight and you can't even tell. So I'm back with the hair positioned in between all of my fingers And my middle finger is going to be the one where I take the fake hair and I wrap it around. So check it out. I take the hair and I wrap it around the middle finger. Then I start to braid again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Boom. I'm back in the same position. And what am I going to do? Take that hair and wrap it around the middle finger. And I'm just going to keep braiding. And that is how you do it. Now, remember I said I pulled out 5 pieces of hair, and that is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to keep going down, and as you can see, my braid starts off very thin because that's just my hair, and then as I gradually add in more hair, it gets a little bit bigger, but it's very seamless. Like, you couldn't even tell I added in hair. And that is the goal. You don't want any knots or bulges where you have added in your braiding hair. And like I said, if you add that hair around any other finger except for your middle finger, you are going to see those bulges, or where you have added in hair, you're going to be able to tell. So wrapping the hair around that middle finger once you get to that position is very, very important. So as I'm braiding down, I make sure to pull down on this braid, not too hard where it hurts, but just to add a little bit of tension, because you want to make sure that that braid is not scrunching up on itself. So add a little tension and pull down while you braid, and make sure that you are running your fingers through the length of the braiding hair and your hair while you braid down, because you will get a reversed braid at the bottom and knots and tangles, and you'll have to cut it off, and it's just super, super annoying. So as I braid down, I always try to make sure I run my hands through the braiding hair a couple of times. That way I can just kind of braid down without having to cut hair off at the bottom, or worry about a whole lot of tangles at the bottom. So that is one braid, and that is how we do the knotless braid, especially if you are a person who braids underhand, which is kind of a little easier than braiding overhand. You would have probably had a little bit of trouble with the knotless braids, but this method will ensure that you actually get it right. Once I found this out, I was able to breeze through this knotless braids. So let's actually jump in and look at a closer view and go over this technique one more time, so you really get the scope, because when you click off this video, you will have this method down. Okay, so let's zoom in. So again, we have our 3 sections. We put the product on and we're ready to go. This is what it should look like. We are starting with, like I said, 3 sections, all defined, no hair floating around in the middle. We're ready to braid. So you braid down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. 3 to 5 works. Then I go in, as you can see my hand placement where the hair is, I am taking that piece of hair and I am wrapping it around my middle finger. And I'm making sure that it is snug in there. It's not loose, it's snug, and it flows with each piece of hair that is in the section with it, my real hair. Then I take my free hand and I continue to braid down. And when you braid down, like I said, make sure you give it just a little bit of tension, because we want to make sure that it's not bulging up or creating a weird knot that is not in sync with the braid pattern. So you continue to braid down anywhere from 3 to 5 notches, and boom, we're back in this position. Very important position to be in. When you're in this position, you know that you're ready to add in hair. I loop around, grab some hair, okay? And of course, I'm going to add it to the middle finger. I'm going to wrap it around the middle finger. So the lengths of the hair are going to be in between, right next to my pointer finger and my ring finger. And the middle finger is the, that's the guy. You see how that looks? That's what it's supposed to look like. And make sure you have some tension there. You don't want it to be a little sloppy. So go ahead and continue the braid once you have the braiding hair and your hair from the braid in the correct position. And that is really all there is to it. Once you have this down, maybe do a couple of braids and you will be all set. And this is the final look. Everything, all the parting, all the braids came out exactly how I wanted it to look. I am completely in love with my knotless braids. I'm so glad that I decided to give it another try, and I'm so glad that I took the time to sit down and figure out how to add in this hair to make it look as seamless and as flat and as beautiful as possible. But of course, our work is not done. We got to do these ends. So I went ahead and I braided them up, and I am dipping them in hot water. So there's this whole full technique that I use to get these beautiful ends, these little boho ends. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to be dropping a video soon. So make sure you subscribe so you can be in the loop when I drop that. But I'm also going in, and of course I'm putting my mousse on. I'm putting that all over my hair. That way it can have a crisp look, and we can kind of, manage those little flyaways, if any, that we have. And this is the final look, everyone. My first time doing knotless braids, and I am in love. So I really hope you all like this video. I hope that you guys learned something, and I know you all know how to do those knotless braids now, especially if you braid underhand. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure you give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next one.